Welcome back. Thank you so much for watching, and we believe you are continuing to interact with us and you're sharing with your friends. Please don't miss this. Today with our guests, we are learning a lot. Yeah? With Pastor Gigi, please don't miss this. Pastor, when we left, we are looking at work relationships. And we said, even if it's off-site, on-site, we cannot ignore this. But now, Pastor, because you're a pastor, allow me to go this other side.
Yes.
Work relationships in the Bible, or the godly way of relating with one another at workplace.
Okay.
Yes.
I think, like we said last week,
Yes.
we have to kind of like we have to see relationships in the workplace as the relationships that bring honor,
Yes.
that are productive, that are positive, that help shape each other and encourage, our faith and our walk with God. So several things come to focus. So, for example, relationships that are positive.
Yes.
There is always a temptation in the workplace, and I'm sure you can imagine this.
Yes.
Not imagine. I mean, those things. HR interacts
Yes.
with those all the time. Relationships can go sour. People can quarrel, fight, compete
Yes.
with one another.
Yes.
And sometimes you'll find somebody who is a supervisor who is very aggressive, very mean, and harassing everyone. And there are people who really are very difficult to deal with. So there are all kinds of problems that emerge when people work together. And I think what that therefore calls for is character, building character. And the best character is biblical character. So a character based on biblical values. So I think one of the things that is missing in the workplace conversation is biblically based values, value of respect, honor, and values of care, compassion, and those are the things that Jesus is talking about in the Beatitude, a love for justice.
Yes.
So, for example, that's a very important thing. It's like Jesus was saying, the people I'm sending out into the kingdom are people who are meek, not the fighters, the opposite. You're not going out with the tanks, but you go with the opposite spirit.
Yes.
But also, he says, people who love mercy, or you could say lovers of justice. People who love to put things right. So I think there is every reason for the workplace to be a place where there is equity. I don't like the word equity that much, but I think justice is good enough.
Justice.
Yeah, and fair play, and an enabling environment where every gift, every person is valued for who they are. And then, of course, the other area that we have to talk about is that, the areas of purity and respect for other, sexual differences.
Yes.
People are different. In terms of men respecting women and women respecting men.
True.
And hopefully that relationship remains what it is.
Yes.
Like it is in the rules don't get to change because you work together.
You're right.
The same rules we use in the church, in our Christian family, applies in the workplace as well. So ethics come into place, ethical behavior, truthfulness, and justice, and good judgment. So all those are very, very important things that needs to be taken care of.
True. Yeah, and I'm thinking of every person, as you said last week, people have talents.
Yes.
And they have also God-given purposes, as in God has something destined for them. And these people have come in this workplace so that it also forms part of that journey as I head to where God wants me to be.
Yes.
So, and I think that is why this working relationship should be healthy.
Yes.
So that I don't become a stumbling block to you, not to achieve what you're supposed to achieve, or not to make it so hard for you, so that you struggle so much, and there's a way you can easily be able to deliver.
Yeah, and I think that's why we train. I mean, because I also, as a pastor, I also happen to play in the marketplace, and
Yes.
I participate, or rather, I'm involved in consultancies.
Yes.
And one of the things that I have discovered is a major stumbling block in productivity.
Yes.
Is team dynamics and work relations.
Yeah.
So there is need to develop strong teams
Yes.
and train people how to work together and to develop relationships that are productive. And when we're thinking about supervisors, for example,
Yes.
and management, you really have to get people who, you have to develop the people skills as a manager so that then you can get the maximum, you can maximize your colleagues, the people you supervise. So kind of like it calls for pastoral care. You know, the whole idea of what do you call it, servant leadership.
Yeah, servant
Now,
leadership.
that's very critical, servant leadership. And Jesus is the best example
Yeah.
of a servant leader.
True.
You remember, one time Jesus Christ has his disciples together, and he wanted to demonstrate to them servant leadership.
Yes.
And guess what he did? He took a towel
Yes.
and a basin,
Yes.
and bowed down and to wash his disciples' feet. And I said, this is how you become a leader. This is how we're going to operate. We're not going to operate the other way, the way the world does.
Yes.
The world works the other way around. The big guy, the big fish, the most powerful
Yes.
is the one that leads the pack.
That's true.
But Jesus' model of leadership is a servant leadership.
Yeah,
It's kind of counterintuitive. And so we have to develop leaders that see that servant leadership is the one that brings out the best out of people. When you come out ready to serve the people.
To serve. And most of the time, I don't know why, but most of the time you see when we talk about serving, someone seems like it's another junior story. It's not that nice thing to do. But I think the way you bring it up, it's not just that you are just there. It's not you are just down to earth or you're a useless person.
Yes.
It's just taking this other person and following Jesus as the main example.
Yes.
Because Jesus accomplished what he had come to do here. And he always said he came to accomplish his Father's will.
Yes.
And he did that through serving.
Yes.
Which is such a great thing that we can learn from that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, servant leadership, and if Christianity has been successful,
Yes.
which it has, it's been successful despite most people thinking that power works the other way around.
Yes.
But wherever the people that have the Matthew 5 kind of people, the meek, the hungry for justice, the hungry, those who seek the goodness of the others, and the humble, those who are hungry for truth and the righteousness. Those are the people. That kind of approach is what actually wins the day. So I think, this is a very different way of thinking of work relations.
Yes.
And that's the basis of ethics in the workplace. Because as a manager, a manager has so much power.
Yes, they do.
When you're evaluating somebody, they are not
That
in
is
the
true.
management meeting and you're evaluating their performance. And
Yes.
it is very safe for a manager to say, no, I'm going to fire that guy. I don't
Yes,
like him.
yes.
I don't like her, or something like that. And the minutes are done and you are actually fired and you just see a letter.
Yeah.
So because of that kind of power, that's why Jesus comes in and says, no, the greatest of you must be the servant of the others. And
love
that does work. So I think as a pastor, that's what I would say. That model works. And by the way, when it's played out, I can, even at the national level, we can take that to the national level.
Yes.
The idea of a prime minister is a biblical idea. Because a prime minister, the technical meaning of a prime minister is the chief servant. So the most important government leader is the chief servant. And I think you've also noticed in the corporate sector, they're beginning to introduce the idea of a servant, chief servant. And I've seen that. I think
it's there.
a couple of, because servant leadership,
Yeah, servant
people
leadership.
are realizing how powerful a
Yes.
modern approach
Yes.
of leadership it is. And that's the thing. And the governments, the way they work, maybe I'm pushing this too far, but let me just say it very shortly. The prime minister surrounds himself with other servants, not the military. In a proper, formal, democratic environment. Yes.
Wow, that's quite amazing. Now, as you were talking, I was just thinking, values, you brought about the aspect of values. And as long as we have the right values, and those values are upheld in a working environment, then you find that relationships are going to be very okay. But we come to this point, even let's say have an example of a faith-based organization, and values are key. Even some are very strict. This is the kind of a person we want, because this person must ascribe to the values we do, and all that is done. But when this person comes in, we still find ourselves having problems with these values. So where could be the problem?
I guess the problem is it's sin. You know, it's one thing to have a list of values, but it's another thing to have the heart. Yeah, and that's where now faith comes in. That's why that's where a deep Christian character formation comes in. So you can have very nice values, very well stated, but the people that are supposed to instantiate those values don't have the heart and the character, Christ in them, then it becomes very difficult. You know, so the good, Paul was talking about this struggle. The good I want to do, I don't do, you know, and the bad I don't want to do. That's what I keep on doing, but for the grace of God. So I think we have to say, yes, values are important, accountability, respect, and all those things. I love reviewing people's vision, mission, and values. And I see very vague values. But whatever it is, you know, those values are very important. But then you need to have the character, people with the kind of character that can actually live out those values and embody those values. So yes, there is a place for the values themselves. They have to be, you know, kind of clarified, articulated properly, and then now you have to then build the culture so that those values become embodied in the organization.
Beautiful. Wow, that is amazing. And I think as before we get to the closure, our time is just out. What is coming out is relationship at workplace, other than just what we put in place and say these are our values, this is what we are supposed to do. It also has a backing of the Bible, or the Word of God. Because God himself also expects us to live in harmony with one another. And even to appreciate that every person has what they bring on board. And in any organization, in any business, we have what is common, what's supposed to be achieved. But you realize you'll do your bit, I'll do my bit, someone else will do their bit. Finally, we have a common objective or common overall objective of the business. And I think that is very critical. And to appreciate one another, to appreciate that what A brings, B may not have. What B has, A may not have. And so we give ourselves opportunity and to relate well, to compete positively, to work together, and also to appreciate that it's more of a family. Because you're spending a lot of time together. So, Pastor, as we close, what is your final word?
I think we all have to live up to our calling. I think I would say stewardship is really at the heart of a good work relationship. We have to be stewards of God's truth and word and live out the values that we espouse as believers. And that's very important. That transforms the organization.
Wow. Thank you very much. Pastor, it was great having you. And I look forward to having you again. We have not finished this discussion. You can be sure there's a lot to discuss around this. It was great interacting with you. So I believe you've enjoyed our discussion today. And I believe that God is working in us to make us the best employees, the best employers. As we are business people, we are also going to have businesses that are run in the right way so that we can also please God. So we look forward to interacting with you more next week. Please, we wish you a blessed week. It has been Empower. My name is Beatrice Chuchu.